Hungry Trilobyte podcast would like to start by acknowledging SoonerCon. Prepare for an enchanting evening from every corner of the dimensional plane. Fantasy and magic combined for SoonerCon 35 and a weekend full of cosplay, gaming, celebrity guests, and fan panels. Join us June 11th through 13th, 2027 in Norman, Oklahoma. Visit SoonerCon.com for details. When I first started Hungry Trilobyte podcast, I had a number of motivations, but one of the biggest ones was to give the people who have been in the fandom a long time a platform to reflect on the accomplishments they've had and the friendships they've made, and maybe share what some of those things could look like to those of us who are still working our way through the world and making these friendships and seeing what fandom has to offer, maybe for the first time. Today's guest is one of those people who have made me feel like I really accomplished that and more. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Bjo Trimble. This evening we are joined by Bjo Trimble. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine.
I'm so thankful to have you here. I've looked up to you for a very long time. For the few guests who may not actually know, you are a key figure in Star Trek history. You have many accomplishments in the fandom, not the least of which being that you spearheaded the original Star Trek Save Star Trek campaign way
Yes,
back in the day.
my husband and I did that. He doesn't get much credit because it was in the days when women speaking out were getting the credit for things, and John was just a businessman, so he wasn't mentioned. But actually, it was his idea,
Oh,
and so he we were talking about how unhappy the people were when on our way home from visiting the set, and he said there ought to be something we could do about that. And I said, there, and we noodled out a write-in campaign, this being before home computers were common, and uh, we didn't know what we were doing. It was all made up as we went along. But and that was kind of a fun thing because we met so many nifty people who were just, they wanted to get involved and they didn't know how, and so we gave them a how.
sure. And what happened there has been continuing for the next 60 years.
It has. People still ask me uh, 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 how we did it, and I send them the whole plan, and so we've been part of other shows having their write-in campaigns and so on, and it makes it, it's uh, nice to know that I've we have had this kind of influence on people.
Sure. I mean, when you have the chance to save something important to you, it's a chance to say to the world, this this story is important. I want to see it live. This is more than just my day job or more than just my 9 to 5. This is important to my future.
Really, I agree with you completely. That would be something that a lot of people don't see, but it certainly will happen. And although it's now changed to computers, most of what we did could be applied to the computer world as well. It would
Hmm.
certainly make getting the letters out faster.
Sure.
So, I mean, we asked for 10 people to write 10 letters and asked people to write 10 letters and so on. But nowadays, you can ask people to do 100 letters. And I assume that just about every fan has at least 100 people on their list, maybe a few more. And there are some people who um, have a whole uh, what do I want to say? The people who do influencer stuff,
Hmm.
and I don't quite understand what it is they're doing, and but evidently it's worthwhile to them, so that's just fine.
If I can tell a little secret, I don't quite understand either, but it seems to work for them.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's making them independently wealthy, but you know it's at least making them feel good. So
Yeah.
why not?
And I'll tell you, when I reached out to you and I had a chance to talk to your very helpful daughters, it was because I had heard that you weren't going to get a chance to be at the next Star Trek Las Vegas convention in 2 weeks.
No.
And apparently you have an announcement now.
Well, yes, some very nice fans are paying my way in, and uh, the my daughter will be with me because I'm supposed to have an escort wherever I go now, and it's a huge surprise. I will owe them an awful lot, and aside from being offered space in an autograph session, I've heard nothing from the creation people. So, you know, and that's I will be just as happy to stand around and talk Trek with everybody anyway.
Wow, I bet. I
Uh,
feel, and I'm sad that I won't be there personally, but I'm glad that you of all people do get a chance to go. And do you have any plans while you're there at your table there?
no, just mainly talk about Star Trek. I'm my John and I both had the feeling that you didn't have to tell any of the bad things and any of the backstage gossip or something. You can tell people some enough funny things to satisfy all but the gossip mongers. And you know, I just don't do the other thing. I had a fan ask me if so and so was gay. I said, I don't know. Why don't you ask them?
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So
And you're right. There's so many positive things out there. There's so many funny stories, and that's how
oh,
this all came together.
really, and I think Gene would be happy with the way it's been going. And who knew we were going to be able to last 70 years? What an amazing thing. So, and we have ah, this is the people who are sending me to creation it huh
You're sitting at the table.
and sharing the table, yes, are the sci-fi sisters.
Oh, they're good people.
You know them. Okay.
Well, I've spoken to a few of them here and there.
Uh-huh. Well, I think I never heard of them, but I will certainly learn more about them and enjoy being meeting them at the convention. So um, that makes me feel good.
I'll go ahead and I'll give them a shout out in the show notes here because they have a fantastic podcast. It's very much worth our time.
Oh, well, I shall have to look it up then.
Sure, sure. And you say that Gene would like how things are going. There are some people who aren't so into the positivity thing that like to put words in Gene's mouth saying he'd be disappointed with Trek the way it is, and that seems to be something you don't agree with. If
Well, I'll tell you something. There are so many people who put words in Gene's mouth than those people who never met him. And you'd have to know him. Would he be happy with some of the permutations? Maybe not. Would he be unhappy enough to put a halt to it? No, because at this point, it's on a roll, you know, and it's whatever is happening, it's still Trek. And you there's just so many other permutations. What have we got now besides the series we had? We have Starfleet Academy, and of
Mhm.
course the Strange New Worlds. And I can't believe that Roddenberry would ever be unhappy about Strange New Worlds. It's the kind of
Sure.
thing he wanted to do in the first place.
Mhm.
And NBC just could not understand why people would enjoy this crazy sci-fi stuff. And they didn't understand it, so of course they didn't want to deal with it. And that's how we got started on the Save Star Trek campaign, because we when we were visiting the set, we had an open invitation to do that anytime we were in Los Angeles. And we were at present living in Berkeley. And everybody was so unhappy. The word had come down. Now, it was a rumor at the moment, but people listened to rumors, especially ones about your show being canceled. And it just, we felt we could do something to help change that. And I always tell people, well, it was us and a few 100,000 other Star Trek fans. And many of them wrote to us. And that's where, we never got a dime from Gene or of course, and certainly not from the studio. But part of that was because I told Gene not to give us any money, because they would immediately accuse him of going out and buying us. And, we're being paid to do this. No.
Mm-hmm.
So it was still discussed, among the top people that we were being paid, and no, not true. I snapped off a couple of letters to some of the top NBC people and said, I don't know if you realize it or not, but you're making this claim is harassment or something. I'm not sure what, but you are attacking our integrity, and I think we could do something about it. You mentioned legally, and everybody backs off. So
To me, it just sounds so absurd to accuse you of being paid, because maybe this didn't make sense at the time, but we'd do it for nothing. We'd pay
right.
them if we had to.
Yeah. I mean, well, and I mean, aside from saying, send us $1 for a letter you send out, how would we get any money back from this? We certainly were helped by fans who would send us rolls of I'll think of it in a minute, postage stamps,
Mm-hmm.
and or a ream of a copy paper, and there'd be some change sometimes, but we didn't make any real money off of that. So,
Of course not.
and but like John pointed out, we have from all over the world met so many nice people. I mean, there's a few nerdies too, but there always is.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, most of these folks that we have met are just wonderful.
Yeah. And your experience matches with mine, and in the time I've been doing this, my life has grown so rich, going to conventions, meeting these people, reaching
Right.
out, like you and I are talking right now. This means a lot to me.
Well, thank you.
And I just that has been going on for so long. How do you think fandom has maybe changed since back in the day?
Well, we've all gotten, well, I'm not sure I can make that claim for me, but people have gotten a great deal more computer education. They're now have these platforms and whatever, and they are communicating on a level that I had never dreamed of. And I know this is true because when the Pluto, now this is some years ago, but they were going to cancel the Pluto project, and some friends at JPL told us about it, and they said, we're unhappy because our next shot at Pluto being in the right place is 288 years from now. And it's on a huge circle around the sun. And so, is there something you can do about that? And so I typed up a letter, and pretty much like the old one, and I said, but the furthest away you are from LA, I want to hear about it because I need to know how computers work. I don't know if I had very much belief that computers would really work for us. And we heard from Australia and Jakarta and believe it or not, Antarctica.
Wow.
And somebody was on there, and it really. And when I sent out the letter, the response started about 2 hours after I sent it out. But the locals didn't let me know. They knew that I was I would. They knew I knew, but for the others, it was just amazing to see how far it reached in actually only a fairly short time.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, we could have used this in 1970 something. But yeah, so that's kind of special.
It is. And the fact that we can talk like this on our own little view screens here, it's like
Yeah.
we have the technology they had on the starships.
This is the thing. I'm 92. And honestly, I've lived through a lot of changes on this planet. But I think the main one is what computers can do, and what amazing things that are still be discovered. I have every belief in that, even if I don't know quite what will be discovered. But the just the possibilities. And Gene Roddenberry was very heavy on just possibilities. That's how Star Trek worked, and that's what made us think that going into saving it was the thing to do.
Sure. And I'll just say, pulling back the curtain a little bit, a lot of the paychecks I've cashed in my life came from working with technology. I
Yeah.
have I have a lot of respect for it, and because of the possibilities, and I often get a little down because in recent past, you just don't see people putting it toward good potential. We see them putting it toward ends that are not productive. And I just hope there's other
Yeah.
people like Gene or his fans who are saying, let's use this for something constructive.
Well, and we hear about that every day, and I myself have run across it um, because I'm of an age where a great deal of technology is going to keep me alive. And I had just recently had a heart workout, I guess you would call it that. And I never even saw half these machines. They were so amazing. One was kind of a little thing that went around it like this. It wasn't an MRI or a CAT scan. It was a little thing about this big that circled me. And it was one of these, wow, okay, what is this? And they kept saying, you have to stand still, Mrs. Trimble. Now I know they tried to explain to me what a CAT scan was, and I said, honey, I've already had CAT scans, but does this mean I get a kitten? And the tech says, no, it doesn't work that way. um, but yeah, I think my husband would have been very pleased to have seen how far we've gone. I lost him about 2.5 years ago, and we'd been married for 63 years. And people said, how do you manage this? And John said, shut up and listen.
You know, I remember you posting something similar to that about 10 years ago on Facebook. I've been following you that long,
Oh
and
my
I
goodness.
and I've never forgotten it.
Oh, yeah,
It's
well,
been something that sunk into my brain there.
it's a crazy sort of thing to say, but it really simplifies it to a point where everybody should be able to understand it.
For
Um,
sure.
and but one of the things that John and I got was we got to travel so much uh, during all of this time. It was very special to be invited to a convention, and because they paid our way there, and so on, and we never charged them a speaker's fee because that's nonsense. We talk for free.
Mhm. On that topic, I talked about all the conventions you've been to. I
Right,
really do want to just ask because I know you were at the 1952 WorldCon,
right.
and did you happen to run into Myrtle Douglas in your travels?
Okay.
She was married to Forrest Ackerman for a while, and she was
Oh,
known,
okay.
yeah.
No, yeah. Um, I didn't see her at the convention. No, we were
Oh,
running on a different track entirely.
sure.
Um, um, but I that's it. Boy, you brought that's a name from out of the mists of time.
She kind of got on a little rabbit hole researching some of the work she had done, and there's not a whole lot of information out there. So I just thought, hey, it was worth asking one of the few people who I knew had at
Right,
least traveled in some of the same circles, knew some of the same people.
right. Well, no, I actually met her, but we didn't have much to say to each other on that because she wasn't all that interested in Star Trek at the time.
Hmm.
And while I can talk on another subject, um, we just never hit a one that both of us, you know, resounded uh, resounded to each other. So
Well, sure. And I just thought I'd toss it out there because, out of all the conventions you've been to, I'm sure that there have been so many things that so many memories that come up that you absolutely would like to share. And
yeah, well, you know, uh, you could just sit around and describe funny things that happen at conventions. The uh, just the costume contest alone, or masquerade as everybody calls it, but nobody's wearing a mask, is something very special, and it's uh, that's why when Comic Con was an itty bitty convention, we visited it many so far back that it was only about 100 and some odd people at the event,
wow.
and we helped put their costume contest and the art show together because they'd already lost one piece of art, which is like, no, you don't do that, and they lost money on because they had to pay for it. But the so the whole thing there was that uh, we we got basically a golden ticket to Comic Con. So we're life memberships for that. And aside from the fact that my daughter isn't herself interested in Comic Con, I would be planning on going even now. But oh well. She says, "Well, you get tired." Well, yes, of course I get tired. I'm 9 decades into a life here, so gotta work it out there. But the, you know, it's I'm not stop. I don't stop for things like just being tired.
Well, I'm glad for that. I mean, I've loved this for so long and I can't imagine ever stopping.
Yeah.
And you've got your next trip coming up to Vegas, and Vegas has been like the spiritual home of the Star Trek convention for such a long time now.
Yeah, it has. But I've only the last time we were there was on the 60th anniversary, and we haven't been there since. Um, so there is supposed to be some kind of a problem between the Trimbles and them, but I don't know what it would be.
Wow.
Last time it seemed to me like we were all doing a perfectly good time with each other, you know.
Hmm.
But I will also be at Ticonderoga, which is where the really beautiful uh, fan built bridge set is. Um, a fan named Brian Mix has put together highlight the original Galileo,
Oh.
and it will be introduced there. And you know, I never saw much use in it because it's basically a cheese box, but
Hmm.
um, you know, but it poor thing has had a long and strange history, so now it'll have a resting place and be all fixed up and spiffied up, and I'm going to be there for the dedication of that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so I'm very pleased.
Yeah.
Let me say that it's a pretty area. I don't know if you've ever been in that part of New York, but
Not that far up now.
yeah, it takes a great deal to recommend it. We went up when we were visiting our kids in Boston. Drove up to Ticonderoga, and uh, the scenery is simply gorgeous. And you can stop and get apple pie almost everywhere.
Hmm.
They're very big on apples up there, and apples we'd never heard of, you know, because most of them don't travel well, so they're not used in stores. But and then well, that'll be in September, I believe, and then there'll be several smaller ones too, small conventions that I'm going to, and I think I posted most of those on my I'm not sure what it is.
I saw some on your
Facebook.
Facebook. Yeah, Facebook.
Yeah, I don't belong to any of the others. It's just I figure if I can keep up with Facebook, I'm doing well.
Okay. That I will put your Facebook link in the show notes as well.
Please do. Yeah,
And, and if there is some sort of bad vibe between the Trimbles and creation, I hope somebody out there might speak up and just kind of clear the air as to what that might be.
yeah.
Because if you
Well,
don't know,
yeah. What I may track down the guys who own it and ask them.
sure,
That's
that's a fair
the only way.
question.
Yeah, the only way to find out something
Mhm.
is go to the source and ask what's happened.
I can guarantee you there's a couple more people buying tickets because you're going to be there.
Well, I hope so. And I
Well,
hope
sure.
if I think because I'm not on the program, at least not right now, I think that uh, they should look for me at the signing at the Sci-Fi Sisters um, uh, autograph booth and or table or whatever it is, and we'll certainly have some talking to do.
Well, sure.
And so yeah, and I if we don't manage to clear things up with creation, well, that's a problem, but it's not one that's going to take me down.
Yeah, it's not on you.
No.
You've done your best. You went and had a good time. You made the convention better.
Well, thank you.
Sure, sure.
I will also be at WorldCon in Anaheim, California,
Oh,
and so I will be around,
hmm.
and people are always, always invited to just come up and say hi. I'm I hate it when people are kind of standing halfway across the convention, going, oh, And then they write me a letter. Well, I saw you at the convention, but I didn't come up and meet you. And I can't guess that all of the people wandering around want to speak to me or not. They have to, somebody has to talk to me first.
Sure. Well, it's very approachable. I mean, I'd love to pick your brain for hours on all this stuff. I, among other things, I would just kind of like to know what you're looking forward to from Star Trek from here on out, besides the great conventions.
Well, I think if Strange New Worlds continues as it is, which is just about as close to the original Star Trek episodes as we can hope for, with a little more smart ass work. But they are able now to do things that Gene could just simply not do. Uh, when he wanted to introduce gay people, NBC had a heart attack, and the the girls were all in the little short costumes because, of course, that they wanted the TNA, that's tits and ass, that that they thought that was what people were going to watch. And when Next Generation started, people may have noticed that some of the men wore what they were their skirts, their shorts with a little tabard like front and back. And so that didn't last very long, and I'll tell you why. Men aren't used to sitting down in little short.
No, we're not.
Yeah, and with just nothing but tights between them and the vinyl seating on the Enterprise. Well, the result was that after they settled into a seat and then they got up, there was that they'd stuck to the seat.
I imagine so.
They also didn't know how to bend down. Most women know how to bend down without showing everything.
Hmm.
And the guys, they just bend over and pick up something off the floor.
Yep.
You have this little high cut. But so, uh, but Gene did try, and he wanted people, he wanted more than either the studio or NBC would allow. And I think he'd be happy now with you know openly gay people on the bridge set.
I would hope so, for
And
sure.
I won't speak with his mouth, even though I know him very well. But I will say that knowing him, I'm pretty sure of it.
Sure. Well, Bjo, I want to thank you so much for being here. I do want to
Oh,
ask you one more thing before I let you go.
okay.
Um, and I want to speak to the listeners out there, maybe the fans who are liking Star Trek and want to see it continue, or the ones that maybe you're a little disappointed and you want to voice your frustrations constructively. What are the best ways they could do that? What are the best ways they can put positivity behind whatever they're feeling about the show now?
Well, they're not held responsible by a network in the sense it's Paramount, right to Paramount, and that okay. Here's the thing about letter writing: keep it short, uh, keep it, mail it in a business envelope, and don't make any threats or make any anything that they can hand to the newspapers and say, you see, Star Trek people are nuts. So, but and do it as often as you want. It's you do it and ask 10 friends to write a letter. They do it and they ask 10 friends to write a letter. It works just fine. And if you have 100 friends, do it with them.
Excellent. Well, hopefully people can get to writing letters and we can get to having Star Trek again.
Well, I hope so too. There's plenty of good ideas out there.
And I won't be at Vegas in a couple of weeks, but I do hope to see you at a convention sometime soon.
All right.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a great night.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I feel very honored. So
It's been an honor having you. I would like to thank Bjo for being my guest today, and I would like to thank you for listening. If you're getting this right off the feed, you know that Star Trek Las Vegas is going to be happening in just a few weeks, and maybe you're planning on going, or maybe you know a friend who's going. And it's one of my favorite conventions. I haven't been in many years, but I really do enjoy it. I would suggest if you know somebody who's going, or you yourself is going, let's start to put out that social web. Let's start to send out feelers to people who are like, hey, would you like to meet up? Do you know somebody who might want to be in a photo op? Join those Facebook groups, reach out on Blue Sky or Instagram, check out those hashtags. I know from experience STLV is one of the best chances for fandom to come together and for you to make those connections. So please just let me know how it goes. Reach out to me at bossigpodcast@yahoo.com or on Instagram or Blue Sky at Aaron Bossig. Go ahead and subscribe to this show on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, YouTube. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.